Hey guys, it's Mitch from Grandad Gunner TV, here to do another final third episode. I want to touch on the Carabao Cup and do a bit of a review versus Brentford. We played them away, and I want to talk about what stood out for me. I said on a previous video that it was going to be our defence that was going to win this game for us. Playing at GTX Stadium, away from home against a full-strength Brentford. I said our defence was going to be the key to win this game. And to be fair, it's exactly what happened. We won the game because our defence was that good. The second thing that stood out for me, if we talk about obviously the obvious change, and that was Rambo in goal for Raya, was Rambo showed his absolute class. You know, you talk about Mikel Arteta saying that he needs two decent players for each position in the team. And I know that there's always been this mentality of one club has one number one, and then you have a second goalkeeper, but they're always never as good as the first goalkeeper. We're in a very unique position where we have two extremely good goalkeepers. And that is the benefit of us. That is not a negative Arsenal fans. So there's a lot of negative talk going on around saying that, oh, well, you know, Rambo should be in goal and Raya should be in goal. The reality is it doesn't matter who goes into goal. Mikel Arteta has a unique ability to understand what this team needs. Raya has extremely good long ball distribution. We know that. We know that. And we also know that they're both really good shot stoppers. So different games for different teams, different strategies, different tactics. You know, that's a possibility. But the fact is that against Brentford, Rambo showed his class. The other thing that stood out for me was the match awareness of a very young Polish defender, Jakub Kiwior. And he saved us any potential embarrassment going down to Brentford at home. The fourth thing that stood out for me was that Brentford, specifically Johan Wissa, is not a clinical finisher. Thank God for that. If Johan Wissa was a clinical finisher, we would have been a lot of pain. The fifth thing that stood out for me was young Charles Sago Jr., the 19-year-old attacking whiz kid. I did say in an earlier video that we'd be relying on our wonder kids. I earmarked a few players to come in, and surprise, surprise, none. Well, yeah, Koza Dubry was on the bench, so that, to be fair, Koza Dubry was on the bench. Lewis Miles Skelly, he didn't get a run. But I was quite surprised to see young Charles. In saying that, he has been on the bench for Arsenal before. Last year takes me back to when we played Sporting. So we have seen the name before, but we've never seen him on the park. So he had a debut for Arsenal against Brentford. And to be fair, he did not look out of place at all. He had a very solid debut. So well done to that young man. I also said that the one thing that we're going to be very aware of, and we have to be very aware of it, is our next 5 games are critical. And I talk about, obviously, Brentford, 1-0 to the Arsenal. I also predicted that score as well. I said that if we have all the potential injuries that I believed we had, then we would need to be winning this game away from home with stoic defence, and I believe the score is going to be 1-0 to the Arsenal. And that's exactly what happened. Tonight, we play 11:50 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Arsenal plays Bournemouth. Again, we are away. Then we play RC Lens in the Champions League, Man City at home, and then we finish with that other mob, Chelsea, who I'm really not concerned about. They might have had a win in the last game, but big whoop. Big whoop. They're not finishing the dinner, and I can't see them finishing the dinner against us either. Now, we talk about the actual game itself. Brentford had 18 shots to our 10. Now, we had 10 fouls to their 7, and we got 2 yellow cards. So what does that actually tell us? It tells me that it was a defensive game. You know, I think the thing that spun me around was I thought Brentford were going to come at us at home from the very, very start. I personally did not see that being the case. Now, to talk about the game overview, I lost count of how many times final shots or final lines of our defence got in the way of Brentford shots. Now, to be fair, the first half, well, we showed signs of an old Arsenal. We showed signs of a little bit of organisation, and that's about it. Brentford were extremely passive. And I mean extremely passive. I mean, for a team that's full strength, we are a very weakened Arsenal team. We've got no Rice. We've got no Saka. We've got no Saliba. We are an absolute shambles as far as a team going away at night to a full-strength team. The first half, they were passive. And that, I suppose, gave us a little bit of a kind of awareness of what we needed to actually do. You know, we were lucky. Let's be real, we were lucky. 7 minutes, 18 seconds into the game, Jorgensen's error, Eddie passes the ball into Nelson, and he rolls it into the back of the net. Now, that is a legitimate defensive error by Brentford, and they gift us a goal, 1-0 to the Arsenal. And there was nothing that went on in that first half outside of that movement. 30 minutes, 39 seconds. Jorginho, great quick pass to ESR. Great to see ESR playing, by the way. As he raids into the Brentford box. One touch to try and get around the defender. He shoots, goalkeeper saves. Okay. 32nd minute. Ben White has a great ball up to ESR again, who plays into Nelson in the middle of the park. Nelson plays right across the box, right to the far left-hand side of the box to an unmarked Kai Havertz. Now, this is where I get a little bit upset. Havertz has no one within 3 meters of him. And I mean all 4 defenders are on the right-hand side of the box. And he fails. He's one-on-one with the keeper. He's got enough time to just put his laces through the ball, and he fails to get off any type of shot. It was very disappointing, to say the least. He needs goals, and he needs them bad. 33rd minute. Wissa has an open shot at goal. He fluffs his lines, thank God, and it's a poor shot. Now, realistically, it should be 1-1. It should be 1-1 right now in the 33rd minute. Nothing happens in the game until the 62nd minute. Hickey gets a chance in the box. He shoots, Ben White blocks, and that was the trend. It was attack and block. Tommy blocked, Kevior blocked, Ben White blocked. It was wave after wave after wave of Brentford attack, and this went on for 6 or 7 minutes. It was just crazy from the 62nd minute to the 66th, 67th minute. In fact, in the 64th minute and 55th second, Wissa cracks a great shot across goal. Ramsdale deflects with his fingertips, showing the man's class. He deflects the ball onto the bottom right-hand corner of the goalposts, a miracle save by Rambo, and it keeps us in the game. I mean, there's no more that can be said about the quality of Aaron Ramsdale. He is a world-class keeper. As I said before, he legitimately deserves to be England #1. Go to the 65th minute, another Wissa chance. This time it's blocked by Tommy. Brentford are really piling on the pressure. As predicted, Arsenal's stoic defence is on point. Now, our defence had to be on the ball for the whole 100, 110 minutes, whatever it may be the game was going to be. It was really incredibly important that all of our defenders were working as a defensive team. 69th minute, Kai Havertz plays the perfect pass. It goes behind Eddie, plays it from the left. Zinni fires it up to Havertz. Havertz looks, he sees in the middle, he plays it straight from the left into the box. Now, it goes directly behind Eddie, and Nelson is perfectly positioned, sweeping in behind Eddie Nketiah, perfectly positioned, and he fails to convert low, hard to the bottom right. We should have sealed the win there and then. That was an extremely good pass by Kai Havertz. That should have been an assist. That was screaming to be put in the back of the net. And then, of course, in the 74th minute, Eddie has a chance. He kind of toe pokes it towards the keeper's chest. Again, keeper saves. 76th minute, Brentford has another chance. Frank Onyeka hits it hard from outside the box. Rambo dives, makes another great save. So Brentford had sustained pressure. In the 85th minute, Keane Lewis-Potter, who had just come on as a sub, rifles superbly across our goal with a dropping cross inside our box. And the awareness of Jakob Kiwior to realise that Ramsdale's beaten, and he slides in behind Ramsdale. Ramsdale's like this. He's like, okay, I am now beaten. And Kiwior slides directly behind Ramsdale, and an incredible sliding stop preventing a certain goal. Preventing a certain goal, giving us an extremely hard-fought victory away from home. So we take the win, and we look forward to another away game, this time in the 4th round against West Ham. So overall, as I predicted, it was going to be a defence that wins the game. It was not going to be a clinical attacking display. It just wasn't going to be that way. It never was going to be that way with the players that we had to call on. Bear in mind, remember this, we still don't know if Martinelli's going to be ready for Bournemouth. We still don't know if Trossard's going to be ready for Bournemouth. We don't know if Rice or Saka or Vieira are going to be fit. There's question marks. There are question marks. Let's be real. Again, we've gone Brentford. That's game 1 out of 5. Bournemouth is tonight. Then we've got RC Lons in the Champions League, Man City and Chelsea. So we're still in a very good position, Arsenal supporters. Arsenal fans, you have no reason, and I don't understand why people are being negative nanny. We are still in a very strong position on all fronts. We are not playing poorly. We are playing within the parameters of the players that are playing for us. We didn't have a Rice. We didn't have a Saka. We didn't have a Saliba. And we still got the win. So enough of the negative stuff. We still got the win. Now let's talk about the next game. Let's talk about our game away to Bournemouth. So here's some basic match facts when we talk about Arsenal have won their last 2 away games this season. And we're going away again. So we're 1-0 at Crystal Palace, which anyone will tell you Crystal Palace is no easy game. And we're also 1-0 away at Goodison Park. We broke the Goodison Park curse. We finally beat Everton at home. At their home, I might add. Now, fun fact, Bournemouth are winless in their last 10 games. So, if we play a similar squad, then I think we're going to be in for another fight. I still think we have the class to get the job done. We take the 3 points and we move. But they do have threats. I mean, obviously, they have the Englishman, the 26-year-old Dominic Solanke. Now, he's not exactly playing wonderful football, but he is definitely a threat. They get us on the counter, he is definitely a threat. The other player that tends to play out of his skin against us, and I don't understand why, but it's the 27-year-old Danish midfielder, Philip Billing. He always has a great game against Arsenal, and he scores critical goals for his team. So they're the two threats that I believe will be the case. Now, my predicted lineup is a little bit different. Now, we're talking earlier about the two keepers, and we've got obviously David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale. Now, most people would put David Raya straight back into that squad. But I still think, if I was going to say who's the better keeper, I still think David Raya has the edge. I would actually put him in the squad to play in the Champions League against us Elons. So I would have Rambo in goal. That would be my pick. Ben White would play another game, as would Gabriel Magalhaes. Saliba would come straight back in. That is an easy, straight back in. So Saliba comes in for Kivior, and also Zinni's a straight back in. Zinni comes in for Tomiyasu. Now, I thought Tomiyasu was excellent against Brentford, especially with his height and winning those key duels in the air. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You absolutely have to have Odegaard. That goes without saying. He is by far, outside of the game against the old enemy, Tottenham, he was the most informed creative midfielder, in my opinion, in the Premier League this year. He had an absolute stinker against Spurs. And when I say that, I'm being respectful. I mean, that's me being polite. He was a ghost. He was an absolute ghost. He was not anywhere to be seen against Spurs. In a North London derby, he was a ghost. So I'm here to tell you that Martin Odegaard, our Captain Fantastic, who I rate extremely highly, he needs an extremely impressive game. He needs to dominate in the midfield. And that's the reality. He was an absolute ghost against Spurs. He just signed a bumper contract. And we've seen this before with Arsenal players, just signing bumper contracts and then disappearing off the face of the earth. Aubameyang did it. Martin Odegaard, I'm not going to say he's in the same boat, because I personally think his character and his qualities far exceed what Uber had. That's the reality. Martin Odegaard is not a player, as in like Aubameyang is, flash cars, all that jazz. He is a extremely high caliber midfield player, creative midfield player that has the right character, and he would not be captaining the Arsenal if he did not. So I don't think I'm putting him in the same class as an Aubameyang, but I'm just using that as an example that Uber went missing when he signed that bumper deal. I don't think Martin Odegaard is going to do the same. I think he's going to be exceptional tonight if he plays, and I think he does definitely play. Now, Rice is an interesting one. I personally think Rice will play. But again, that is relative, and it's all very done. It's done with context, guys. It really is. If his back is still giving him a bit of curry and he's still a bit sore, then I would rest him because he's needed against AC Lens and he's also needed against Man City. For us to have any chance of getting a result against Man City, at the very least, he needs to be fit for the Man City game. I think we can get away with the game at AC Lens. I think we've got a high caliber squad, and I think we can get away with it. So I don't really see that as an issue. But let's see how his back is, because the reality is, if he's still a bit sore, I rest him and I save him for Man City. If his back is fine, then hell yeah, he plays absolutely. Every single game the Arsenal play, Rice plays. He's another sucker for me. He needs to play every game for us to continue on our merry way. I think Fabio Vieira gets the nod over Kai Havertz, purely on creativity. Kai Havertz is doing a lot of things off the ball, but he's not showing any, I suppose, indications that he wants to attack. He's just getting himself in positions and he's playing balls into good positions. But he needs to actually take the bull by the horns and start scoring some goals based on his tenacity, not his ball skills. So I think that Fabio Vieira gets the nod over Kai Havertz. Now, Saka, we said this before. I knew that when he came off against Spurs, I knew that Saka had something going on. And then the next day, it was shown that, yeah, he had something going on, and it was bruising on the bone. Now, bruising on the bone can be quite uncomfortable, but lots of ice and a bit of rest, a bit of elevation, and you're good to go. Now, I'm not saying I'm a doctor, but I do have a BSc in sports science. So I do understand the body. I do understand different parts of the body, and I do understand certain injuries. I have a bit of an understanding of that, but I'm not a doctor. Now, Saka starts for me, but I'm not too concerned if Nelson starts. And the reason, again, I'm going to bring it right back to the Man City game. If he's not 100%, and let's be real, no professional footballer is always 100%. They've always got niggling injuries, and that is I suppose, that's professional sports. That is exactly what professional sportsmen are like. You will always play with injuries. Always. And that's just the reality of it. But I'm saving Saka for Man City. At the very least, I'm saving it for the Champions League against AC Lens. So I don't have a problem if Saka or Nelson plays in that role. In fact, you know what? I wouldn't have a problem at all if we had Charles Sago Jr. again. He had a very solid debut. Now, he's raw and he's untested, but he's been on the bench. Mikel Arteta trusts him, clearly, and he had a really good game. He did nothing wrong. He did nothing extremely good, but he did nothing wrong. Just when El Neni came on, he did nothing wrong. In fact, El Neni just about scored a screamer, but he was off mark. The point is, we don't need superstars to beat Bournemouth. I really believe that. We don't need superstars to beat Bournemouth. So I think if Saka's ready to go, he plays tonight. And he gets back into his zone and he just, every game, boom, 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 boom. That's the wonder boy. That's what Saka's all about. I don't have a problem if Nelson starts. I don't have a problem if Charles Sago Jr. gets another nod. It would not bother me because I think we've got way too much class in the middle if Rice and Odegaard do their thing. Fabio Vieira is way, way more creative than Kai Havertz, so I think that takes a little bit of pressure off Martin Odegaard as well. Not that I believe he won't try and create anyway. Now, Jesus needs to be our main man down the middle. Yes, he can play wide, but let's be real. He was totally and utterly ineffective against Brentford on the wing. He done nada. He done nada, not a thing. Not a thing. Eddie shouldn't have started, and Gabby should have been down the middle. And look, Again, it's an opinion. It's just based on what I think. I think Eddie is not in the same class as Gabby as a striker. I just really believe that. So you have to have Gabby back in the middle, and that's just it. You have to have Gabby as your main man. Now, is it going to be Trossard? Is it going to be Martinelli? Or is it ESR? We're talking about the left wing now. Now, again, I don't think Trossard's going to be fit for tonight's game. Again, with both Martinelli and Trossard, I would be very careful with both of those key players. They both need to be ready, roaring, and ready to go against Man City. So I would dead set, I would play ESR out wide. Again, Man City's the key. Man City's the key. We need to gauge ourselves on where we sit against Man City. So yeah, that's kind of where I think. I would still give Gabby and Trossard, if they need it, at least another game or two to get ready for Man City's game, because that's the key game for me. Now, my prediction for this game away at Bournemouth, I actually think we win 3-0. And, fun fact, did you know that there are 3 Premier League teams in the Premier League? One of those teams is now in the Championship. That Saka has not scored against. Interesting, isn't it? So I think Saka finally gets on the scoreboard. He finally scores against Bournemouth tonight. I truly believe that. I think Jesus scores a banger and Vieira chips in with 1. Martin Odegaard creates 2 assists, and I think that's how we finish the game against Bournemouth at their home. So on that note, I want you guys to smash the likes, drop us some comments, and if you think you know the other 2 teams that Saka hasn't scored against, leave those answers in your comments. In the comments. I'd love to see if you guys are on the ball. Remember, Saka hasn't scored against Bournemouth in the Premier League. And there's 2 other teams that he has not scored against. So I'd love to know what you guys think it is. Drop down your comments. I'll read your comments and we'll go from there. So if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, guys. We're only going to get better as a channel. We're only going to get bigger and better because of the support we get from you guys. And, I suppose at the end of the day, we are just giving our opinions. You have an opinion too. So don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to leave your comments. You might agree with what I'm saying. You might completely disagree. Go ahead and leave the whole paragraph in there. I'll answer every question. I'll answer every comment. So go ahead and do that. You've been watching Grandad Gunner TV. My name's Mitch. And until next time, I'm out.